What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets Raw. Before I get started talking about the top DH targets for our New York Mets, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button if you enjoy my content. Want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. All right, guys, so we know the biggest issue for this Mets lineup ever since the DH has been implemented in the National League has been a problem with the DH. When the DH first came to the National League, a lot of Met fans, if not all, said, "Oh, we have a ton of options at for a DH spot. Dominic Smith, JD Davis, so on and so forth, giving guy days off like Pete Alonso to put him on the DH every now and then when he had Dominic Smith at first base. They had options. None worked out. And then when they tried to fix it, they made trades for Ruff and Vogelback. And it's been a complete disaster, and it has been very underwhelming for the first couple of seasons of the DH. And the Mets need to solidify that now, this offseason. And I do think David Stearns knows that and will take that as one of the priorities going into this offseason. And I put 5 guys at the top of the list, and we're going to rank them. But first, we're going to look at their stats, and I'm going to tell you which one from 1 through 5, the one that I want to target the most, and the 5th one that I want to target the least. So there is 5 guys. There is Jorge Soler, Teoscar Hernandez, Rhys Hoskins, JD Martinez, and of course, Shohei Ohtani. Those are the 5 targets that I'm going to be looking at for the Mets to go after, at least one of them to put as the DH. And obviously, some of them can play other positions as well, so they're not just limited like the Mets have with Vogelback at just a DH. That hinders your roster. And I need a guy that, yeah, you would like him as a DH every single time, but that little versatility, I think, matters. Some might play the outfield, some might play an infield. And yes, one of them only can probably DH. But most of them in this top 5 can play other positions. So the first player we're going to start with is Jorge Soler. And of course, after the end of telling you all their stats, I'm going to rank them on what the Mets, the number 1 through 5. And we're going to start right now with Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler had a really good season. He played in 137 games. He batted .250, 36 RBIs, 75 RBIs, OPS of 853, on base percentage of 341, and slugging percentage of 512. Now, he is a high strikeout guy. That's one issue. But again, if you hit 30 plus home runs and bat .250 in Major League Baseball nowadays, that is considered a pretty solid hitter, right? Anything under .250, in my opinion, as a power hitter that hits over 30 home runs, I see that as somewhat of a floored player. But when you bat .250, you hit 30 plus home runs. And if you notice, his RBIs for 36 home runs is kind of low, was because the Marlins didn't get on base enough in front of him. And when he hit those home runs, a lot of them were solo home runs. So Jorge Soler is one of those guys that I really like, and I know a lot of Met fans do, but the strikeouts can be a concern. But with David Stearns, he loves power. So Jorge Soler is one of those options in our top 5. Next up is Teoscar Hernandez. Now, a lot of Met fans really like him as well. That was probably one of the first names that we heard in regards to the Mets and the DH addition for our roster and for this lineup. Hernandez played 160 games, batted .258, 26 home runs, 93 RBIs. So what that tells me, he put bat to ball. It's not 30 home runs, close to it, but 93 RBIs with just 26 home runs tells me that he was pretty damn clutch in runners in scoring position with runners on base. That 93 RBIs right there shows you that he put the bat on the ball. He had an OPS of 741, on base percentage of 305, and a slugging percentage of 435. So Teoscar Hernandez is another option in my top 5. Next up is Rhys Hoskins. I know there's a lot of Met fans that probably don't want Rhys Hoskins. Obviously, he was a Philly, but that shouldn't matter if you're a Mets fan. You want to look at production. Well, he missed the entire 23 season with a torn ACL in spring training. We all saw the video of him grounding a ball and just stepping the wrong way, and his knee went, unfortunately. But in 2022, he played in 156 games, was crucial to the Phillies World Series run in 2022. Batted 246, 30 home runs, 79 RBIs, an OPS of 794, on base percentage of 332 with a slugging of 462. Rhys Hoskins is a guy I actually said in multiple streams throughout the last couple of weeks and a couple of videos, I would go with Rhys Hoskins because he's probably the one of low risk, high reward player on this list right now of the top 5. And on top of that, he can spell Pete Alonso at first base when the Mets really haven't had a first base backup. So you can DH Alonso and keep him healthy. That's important. Keeping Alonso healthy is important. Rhys Hoskins can play, 10 to 15 games at first base while not losing that bat of Pete Alonso. And I think that's crucial for the New York Mets. And Rhys Hoskins could be a good addition to this lineup. Another 30 home run guy into this lineup, batted 246. I think it's a guy that you could probably get a 1-year deal on, probably for the lowest amount of money compared to all of these players in this top 5. And I think the reward could be absolutely amazing. So Rhys Hoskins, yes, missed the entire 23 season, but he is a power bat that can very, very much help this team going forward. Next up is JD Martinez. JD Martinez had an excellent year. We saw what happened in Boston in 2022. A lot of Met fans wanted JD Martinez, but he had a ton of back issues and missed time in 2022 prior to the deadline, even though he was having a decent season, not as good a season as he had in 23. But the age and the back is a concern, even if he's going to be a one-year rental type of guy for just a 1-year contract. It's looking like he's probably just going to get 1 year. And if you look at his stats, he played in 113 games for the Dodgers. Again, he didn't play in a lot of games. But, I mean, what he did in 113 games is absolutely amazing, Met fans. 271 average, 33 home runs, 103 RBIs, 893 OPS, on base percentage of 321, slugging percentage of 572. JD Martinez had an amazing season that I don't think anybody could have predicted. Now, people probably thought he would be good. Average might have not been that high. Home runs, I don't know if people would have thought he would have had over 30 home runs, and especially not 100 RBIs. But even if he gives you in 2024 25 home runs, 80 RBIs, batting 260, I think a lot of Mets fans would take that. JD Martinez is a guy I would not mind. Listen, I won't be mad if the New York Mets say, hey, let's take a flyer on JD Martinez. But his back is a major concern. If his back goes, you're losing that big bat in the lineup, and he is only a DH. He can't really play the field anymore. And I think that's, even though he's a hell of a lot more productive than Daniel Vogelback, you're losing that versatility compared to the other guys on the top 5 list for our DH spot that you can use in other spots on the field. So JD Martinez is another option in my top 5. Last but not least is, of course, who else? Shohei Ohtani. Of course, it's Shohei Ohtani. We all know he went down with the torn UCL, had Tommy John, only played in 135 games, but look what he did in 135 games. 304, everybody thought he'd probably break the American League home run record on his pace. Playing in another 28 games or so, he might have done it. Batted 304. 44 home runs, 95 RBIs, OPS over 1,000, on base percentage of 412, and slugging of 654. This is no doubt probably one of the guys the Mets are going to heavily go after, and he's obviously only going to be a DH in 2024 and not a pitcher, and he hardly, if ever, plays the outfield anymore. But in a pinch, when he's healthy officially with his arm, once in a blue moon, he might go in the outfield if the Mets really need him based on injuries. Shohei Ohtani is another guy, predominantly a DH, but with that production, it's hard to complain, right? So those are your top 5 DH targets that I'm choosing the Mets should go after at least one of these guys. Now, to rank them, what I would do in order of who I would target, it looks a little bit like this. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is number 1. Jorge Soler is number 2. Teoscar Hernandez is number 3. Rhys Hoskins is number 4. And JD Martinez is number 5. Now, some people might think that JD Martinez should be higher on the list. Again, as I stated earlier, JD Martinez and his back scares me. Another year older, it scares me because if he breaks down, we are in the same position we were the last couple of years with nobody as DH, and that's worrisome. A lot of these other guys, obviously Rhys Hoskins is coming back from a torn ACL, so obviously that's a risk, but JD Martinez is probably going to cost more money, probably a one-year deal just like Rhys Hoskins, but I think Rhys Hoskins, with the versatility of playing first base, I think is a better choice. He's younger than JD Martinez and can provide almost about the similar amount of power as JD Martinez. So the way I see it is the Mets need to land one of these guys. You land one of these guys. Obviously, if you sign Shohei Ohtani, it probably doesn't limit what you do about acquiring another one of these guys. But clearly, if you get Shohei Ohtani, nobody's probably going to be upset about that. But as they rank right now, Shohei Ohtani number 1, Jorge Soler number 2, Teoscar Hernandez number 3, Rhys Hoskins number 4, and JD Martinez number 5. So that is my Mets top 5 targets for the DH spot going into this offseason, going into the 2024 season. The Mets need one of these bats. You put him with Alonso and Lindor in the middle of this lineup, it automatically makes them better. Any one of these guys. Nobody should be mad about any of these guys. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is the key guy, going to cost the most money. But to get any of these guys to put in the middle of this lineup is only going to make this team better. And run scores, extra runs, all this power that can be in the middle of this lineup, all these RBIs that can be had in the middle of this lineup, any of these guys would be a great acquisition for this lineup, for this roster going into 2024. So, question, guys, who is your choice to be the Mets DH? Who do you choose out of these 5? And I know there's others that I didn't put on the list, but I wanted to shorten it down to 5. If there's somebody else that's not on this list, please tell me in the comments. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Once again, guys, who is your choice? Is it one of these 5 or somebody else? Let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, Met fans, let's go Mets.